friends, welcome back to the Gubba Homestead. I'm Gubba, and today I am going to be taking you with me for a morning around the homestead. I thought it would be fun, and some of you might find it interesting to see what I do every single day. Because I have livestock, homestead animals, there are daily things that I do that I cannot miss because these animals depend on me for their survival. That's what makes it so hard to leave on a vacation and why I hardly ever leave the homestead. On the homestead, there's always something going on, whether there's a project or a chore or just something that needs to be done. Just trust me on that. If you are homesteading, there's always something: food to be preserved, a fence that needs to be fixed. In my case, I have windows that need to be fixed, fences that need to be fixed. I have some nesting boxes that need to be cleaned out. I have some goat feeders that I need to build. So there are just continuing things that I need to do, but all in due time. But I wanted to show you my morning regimen just so you can have a glimpse into what it's like caring for animals, and each animal has their own independent needs. I had a dairy cow for a little bit, and now I have dairy goats, both almost night and day for care and needs. And I absolutely love my goats. But as you get different animals, you get to learn them, you get to learn their personalities, their individual needs, and then eventually you just end up never leaving your homestead. So before we get started, make sure to subscribe and comment and let me know what kind of homestead content that you would like to see. All right, let's start on my day.
The first thing that we are going to do is we are going to start off by having a piece of toast for breakfast. This is my sourdough loaf that I just made. It has those little polka dots on the top, which are so cute. I made those because I fermented my bread overnight in the fridge in a colander, and I just sprinkled flour on the towel that it rose in. Seriously, sourdough does not have to be complex. Whenever I do sourdough, I'm not even using a scale. I'm measuring with my heart. I'm doing basic recipes. I like to have things simple on the homestead. As you can see with everything that we have going on, I can't have complex, so we're just gonna make a piece of toast, which is one of my favorite super simple breakfasts. You can let me know in the comments if you like your toast extra toasty or if you just like warm bread. I like a little bit of a crunch. I love having butter with a side of toast, so much so that even just like melts onto my hand. It literally tastes so good. Just the taste of sourdough. There's just something that tastes phenomenal when it is your homemade bread. The system wants you to think cooking from scratch and doing things in your own kitchen is difficult, but it's not. And then we're going to wash that down with a cup of raw milk. I mean, are you expecting anything different from me in my kitchen? We got the sourdough loaf, we got the raw milk. Now I'm just going to clean up this little corner, put the toaster away, clean off the cutting board. So I have this little bread box that I got from my parents for my birthday, and it has a little cutting board under it, which is so nice, which is where I cut my bread. Now I'm going to feed my sourdough starter. All I do for that is dump in a half cup of flour and then a half cup of filtered water. For sourdough starter, you don't want to use chlorinated water because that can kill your starter. And I'm just going to mix it up and then let it rise through the day. And I am just working on getting back, like I said, into the swing of making discard recipes. So crackers and pancakes and more loaves of bread and everything discard on top of the sourdough loaves. You can see this is what it looks like when it is not active. It's just barely bubbling. And then you can see here later, after I come in from all the chores, how bubbly and active she is. And now let's head outside. So I am just going to get some gloves on and put on my boots. My friend actually gave me these boots this season. My other ones deteriorated. I love low farm hand-me-downs like this.
So I am outside right now. You can hear my goats. They are anxiously awaiting for me to feed them, but this is chicken scrap. So it is heading to the chickens. It's so great. They recycle everything. But this goat right here, this previous summer, she rammed one of my dogs into a building, tearing her Achilles tendon. It was a really serious injury that ended up in surgery 4 months in a cast, and I'm still in recovery with my pup well into next summer because the tendons and ligaments can take upwards of a year to heal. She's looking good, but because this goat has shown aggression, serious aggression, I will be rehoming her to a friend who is getting into dairy goats, and she's really excited to take her. I let her know that she was aggressive with dogs, told her the whole spiel, and she's excited to have her because she is an amazing milker. But I don't want aggressive goats on my homestead, especially because my goats come out in free range, and I can't have that with my dogs or other animals. So she's going bye-bye. And it's better that she's being rehomed instead of to the butcher, which I'm not gonna lie, did cross my mind a few times, especially with seeing how injured my dog was. It was really sad.
I have some leftovers from last night that we are going to take to the chickens. What's so great about chickens is they will eat all of your leftovers. No waste here. Chickens are great because they take your kitchen scraps and they recycle them into super nutrient dense eggs or into fertilizer with their droppings. So I always come to this corner, call for the chickens. You can see them coming around the corner. They're so excited to get a little snack. Usually I keep just a pot to the side on my counter right here, as you see, and then I'll fill it up with scraps through the day or for a few days and then go and toss it to the chickens, and then they just peck and cluck about whatever they want to eat. Next, I have to check on my goats. You can see goats are the biggest hay wasters. I need to build some hay feeders. I have hay feeders inside of their houses, but not on the outside. I also have to refresh water, and this is something that I do every single day, and I'll let the goats out if they want to come in free range. At this point, because there is no snow on the ground and still grass that is just hanging on this late in the season, they can go and eat, munch about. They're always really happy to get out, and I love having this frost-free hydrant. Seriously, these things are lifesavers. Having the ability to get fresh water to your animals at a close proximity is everything, especially in the winter. And I did have this frost-free hydrant bust just before we started getting into winter, but I got it fixed as soon as I possibly could, because 2 winters ago I went through the winter with this hydrant being busted, and as you can see, it's close to my chickens and it's close to my goats, so it is incredibly convenient for me, so then I don't have to haul water. So this is my buck in here. He's really nice. I like my buck. He is super stinky in the fall though. It got kind of out of hand. Next, I'm going to go and get a little tool because we need to go and refresh the mineral in the goat's house. So goats need an all-purpose mineral to make sure that they are getting their zinc and their copper and all of those trace minerals that they might not be getting from my grass, or there may be elements in my water that inhibits their mineral absorption. So we need to refill their little feeder, which you can see here. I got to clean out. Always make such a mess. This is actually baking soda on the right side. Baking soda helps balance their pH or if they have upset stomachs. And then on the left side is where I keep their mineral. I would like to go to a mineral buffet eventually, and I am going to restock their hay while I'm inside of their house. These are the little hay feeders that I have for them. One downfall about this is hay still gets everywhere on the floor, and I usually have a big clean out come spring, but in the little house of the buck and the other doe, there's that feeder. And for them, it just works when it falls onto the ground and it becomes insulation for them. This girl right here is licking the mineral out of the scooper, and I'm just going to drop that mineral into their little bucket inside their house. If you leave it out and it gets wet, it will clump together and you have to refresh it. Next, I am going to top off the chicken feed. I always make sure that the chicken feed is topped off, especially during the winter, because they don't have bugs that they can be out and foraging. So I always make sure their food and water is topped off because the chickens spend a lot more time in here. I absolutely love this feeder. I set it up a few years ago. It works perfectly. You just pour in the top, and then on the sides, that's where they can reach in and get whatever they need. You can see right here, this little goat, her name is Lady. She's also getting some minerals, so everybody's really happy. So all of the chores are done for right now. now I have to do this multiple times throughout the day where I go and feed my goats, make sure everybody has new water because goats, they get their water dirty fast, at least with the setup that I have. So I am refreshing that and their hay, making sure everybody's good. And that's what my morning looks like.
So we just got inside from doing our chores, and now you can see what I do every morning. When it comes to milking time though, my morning routine is much more complex because my goaties are in milk. This last year I had 3 goats who were in milk, and I started out by milking them twice a day, and then we took them down to once a day, and that is a lot to keep up with, not to mention babies. When they have their little babies running around, making sure babies are okay, mom is okay, especially right after birth. This past season, I almost had one of my goats pass away, Annie, the black and white speckled one, because of milk fever. Milk fever is actually rare in goats. It's more common in dairy cows, but she did get milk fever. I treated her right away with electrolytes, and I did a vitamin B12 injection, and I gave her some Nutrigench, and that restored her right away. What milk fever is the calcium levels drop so severely low. It is lethal, and what I noticed is I came into the coop and she was standing in the corner, just head in the corner, was not eating, no interest in anything, so I had to act fast. Because of all these things and the complexities of the homestead, that is what makes it difficult to leave. I hardly ever go on vacation. In fact, I don't even remember my last vacation. Family comes here generally to visit me and do projects on the homestead. Having dairy animals does make it more complex when they are milking, because you need to keep on top of milking, or they could get mastitis, which is an infection in the udder, and that is uncomfortable for them. That can also be deadly as well. And there are other things that can just go wrong on the homestead. So the frost-free hydrant where I was getting water from, I recently had that one bust and it froze. And that is one of my main frost-free hydrants where I get water for my chickens, I get water for my goats, and for my dogs, and so I need a functional one. And when I had one bust, let's see, a year ago or a year and a half ago, it actually busted underground and then flooded the whole area. So that was quite something, but this one just busted up top and I had to replace the top spigot. Frost-free hydrants are absolutely amazing to have around the homestead because exactly what the name says, frost-free hydrants. There's a valve down below the frost line where the water drains out of so it doesn't freeze the pipe, and I use those all winter long. And the animals are all doing well. I mean, for my goats to be out free ranging right now in December is pretty crazy because there's still grass that they are munching on in the field. So that is saving me on hay costs and gives them something to do during the day. If I left, I could find a farm sitter, but for me personally, I'm not super comfortable with that because these animals are my responsibility, and I feel like I'm meticulous when it comes to the care, especially just my dairy animals. When my goats are in milk, like they have to be completely milked out, they have to be milked a certain way, and they are just more high maintenance than if I just had goats for meat or cows for meat and they just kind of roamed around and ate and you didn't have to do much. So right now, realistically, if I wanted to travel, it would be the easiest time because you just have to water and hay for my goats, make sure the chicken feed is full, the water's full for everybody. That's pretty simple. But for someone like me, I don't really care to leave the homestead. I absolutely love every single day where I get to get up and go see my animals, see how they're doing. They are so funny. They all have their different personalities. As you can tell with my one goat who got super aggressive out of nowhere and rammed one of my dogs, leading to just a huge disaster for the summer. I'm pretty sure I cried every day for like 2 months after that happened because it was just really rough on my pup, and I love my animals. So yes, she is being rehomed. She is an amazing milker and she will make amazing babies, but just is not a good fit for my homestead considering I have dogs running around all the time and I can't have them being rammed into buildings and their Achilles tendon torn and then having to rehab a dog for a year. I'm doing it and her leg looks great, but it is still a long haul. But that's what I have going on here at the homestead. It's been a wonderful morning and I appreciate you so much for coming along with me. If you have any questions, make sure to leave it down below in the comments and I will see you next time.